The American Dream, a childlike fantasy of what the United States citizens are aspire to accomplish in their lifespan, much like a gilded outline. The average American begins their life at the age of 5, being thrown into the world of education early. 13 years later, at the age of 18, Americans are to walk the stage, high school diploma in hand. They're to have a clear, perfect understanding of the path that lies ahead of them. At age 18, one must then further their education by throwing hundreds of thousands of dollars into a university just to gain yet another diploma that will validate their knowledge and credibility within the professional arena. Following graduation, entering the workforce and working in a relatively similar position until their mid-60s is considered the norm. Once retired, one lives away their life until they're practically lying upon their deathbed. A boilerplate, mediocre life full of people to please and deadlines to meet, deadlines that define the quality of someone's days. Life, as we know it today in America, has been confined to a prison of our perceptions of what we think life has ought to be. Today, the problem lies at the heart of the American society that paints the American dream as something everyone needs to accomplish in order to be accepted in everyday life. To explore this further, we will first begin by envisioning the nightmares brought about by the American dream and the problems that it presents. Then, we will dig through the haze of this issue as we picture the harm the American dream has brought to the average citizen. Finally, we will drift off into a deep daydream about the ways we can combat the American dream within our own daily lives. Let's first begin by envisioning the nightmares brought about by the American dream that have left some individuals restless in their efforts of conformity. Today, we will focus primarily on two key nightmares that have had a detrimental effect on Americans for decades. To start off, the American dream is focused on the acquisition of money and materialistic goods. In the eyes of this ideology, success means earning a lofty salary, owning a lavish picket fence estate, and buying only the finest of products. One must have a job requiring years of prior education and at least a bachelor's degree to validate their knowledge. However, such a ginormous expense is not easily feasible for all. According to the National Center for Education Statistics, it was estimated that the average cost of a private four-year university was around $37,600 in 2020 to 2021. The American public wants individuals to spend thousands of dollars on education just for a job that they consider to be decent. The debt often results in doing so, which places college students in a predicament. Society has forced our students to pour their savings into the education system just so they can maybe gain more money in the future. But when they don't have the money to do so in the first place, these students are forced into a position of turmoil. Wealth has become the focal point of the American society, which has ultimately stripped our citizens of their overall sense of worth, accomplishment, and their overall mental well-being. The second overarching nightmare brought about by the American dream is how it perpetuates society's concentration of wealth within a select handful of individuals. As a result, the American dream is primarily accessible to those in the upper and middle classes. For lower class individuals, college is not always considered to be a choice, making them stray away from lifestyles considered to be normal. Lower paying jobs often result, which still leaves them at the bottom of the class hierarchy. The rich, on the other hand, can flaunt their wealth freely and make even more money without even raising a thumb. Individuals lower in society face degrees of inequality that makes it difficult for them to advance their social position no matter how much work they put into their situation. It is the chronically homeless, the perpetually unemployed, the individuals who are denied the most basic of human rights who find themselves struggling to climb the social ladder. These individuals, in hands with many others, find themselves struggling to create a better life for themselves, therefore destroying the concept of the American dream for those who need it the most. As we dig through the haze of this issue, it is important to note the effects the American dream has had on the common citizen. As a whole, this ideology presents an utterly false and unattainable claim that success should be defined in only one uniform fashion. Back in kindergarten, I remember hearing a trillion different ways of how to tie the shoe the right way. However, at the end of the day, we all got to the same result. The bunny went through the hole, and our shoes stayed on for the rest of the day. Similar can be said for the idea of success. There should not be one uniform way to define it because success for one individual could be completely different from how their neighbor views it. Trying to fit a socially indoctrinated standard that only encompasses a single idea of what it means to be successful has had a detrimental effect on Americans who are not able to meet such demanding requirements. Data collected by the United States Census Bureau in 2019 recorded that around 13 million US workers hold more than one job. This means that 13 million workers are forced to work exhausting shifts in a multitude of careers just to make ends meet. 13 million US workers are forced to sacrifice their sleep, their time with their families, their mental well-being, just to raise enough money to survive in the 21st century American society. The American dream puts so much emphasis on idolizing hard work under the ideas that it will bring you success, but these individuals here are working on merely enough to get by. With this in mind, even being the wealthiest of wealthy does not always guarantee you the benefits of happiness. Within the novel The Great Gatsby, the main character, Jay Gatsby, is an extremely lavish man with a totally extravagant lifestyle and the most money out of everyone in town. However, author Fitzgerald paints a story upon Gatsby's downfall that he was always working on something greater than himself. Essentially, the American dream as we know it today has no end. Individuals lower in society will only continue to struggle when they're the ones doing the greatest amount of work, while the rich will only continue to gain more money. The level of socioeconomic divide has risen in the country with the rise of this ideology, and it will only continue to rise the more it is engraved into our everyday lives. With this issue on our minds, let's drift off into a quick daydream about the ways that we can start to fight against the schemes we may be feeding into without even realizing it. Using the acronym WISH, we can look at the ways both you and I can start to fight against the power of the American dream within our daily lives. Starting off with W. Let's wake up from the idea that success should be only defined in one uniform fashion. For each and every one of us here in this room, we have different means of feeling accomplished. Whether that is getting an A on that project you spent months preparing, standing up in front of your peers and giving a speech, getting that promotion from your boss, or even just waking up in the morning, feel good about your successes. Celebrate those little accomplishments, because all of these brought together will help you reach your true potential at the end of the day. Moving on to I. Inspire others to share their stories of success, especially those of marginalized communities. See how others have found their success outside of the constraints of the American dream. It is then we will truly see the multitude of paths we can set our lives upon to reach our goals. Moving on to S. Show others that success does not have to be boilerplate. Break down the white picket fence life and help others rather paint the image for themselves instead. Finally, H represents hope. Communicate messages of hope for those in the community who may be struggling to find their success. After all, collective community support can really come a long way, as we have all seen throughout the COVID-19 pandemic. Using these 4 key principles, let's wish for a better tomorrow unshackled from the American dream. In our time today, we have taken a ride through the nightmares brought about by the American dream, dug through the haze of effects this ideology presents, and laid out 4 main ways that we can wish for a change in the way we as a community view success. Let's shift our focus away from what high school students want to major in so early on and rather on their general interests. Take the pressure away of getting into a highly ranked college and praise going to a community college or the workforce. After all, at the end of the day, America should not be a place where we have to meet the demands of others. Together, let's transform the American dream from a boilerplate outline into a celebration of the brilliant success stories of not only you and me, but everyone who calls the United States their home. Thank you.